So there's a difference of opinion whether you should be upright or whether you should be bent over. Now, I just explained how bent over is a sign of being broken, a sign of being put down, a sign of ultimate humility and lack of self-confidence, etc. Right? And upright is sounds like confidence, but upright is not necessarily confidence. Okay, some commentaries say that upright just means that you're straightforward looking towards God. Meaning, when you're bent over, who you focused on? You, right? You think that you're humble. I'm so humble, therefore I'm bent over. But you have to realize if you are bent over because you want to show how humble and how broken you are, who you focused on? Yourself. You're not focused on God, you're focused on yourself. As a matter of fact, there's a Hasidic tale. Listen carefully. There's a Hasidic tale that goes as follows. All right, you ready to listen? Yeah. There was once a Hasidic Jew who walks into a synagogue and he hears two people arguing. One yells at the other, "I'm a nothing." Meaning he wants to show he's humble. Ich bin a gar nicht. I'm nothing. And the other one says, "What are you talking about? You're a nothing." "I'm a nothing." And they're going back and forth. And this guy is looking, and here are two serious Torah scholars, very famous individuals, productive, etc. If they're nothing, so the guy thinks to himself, if they're nothing, I'm definitely nothing. So the guy that is witnessing this, he looks at these two individuals who are very respected individuals in the community. Each one's arguing who's a bigger nothing, and the guy looks at them and he says, "What are you guys talking about? You're nothing." "I'm definitely nothing." And the two guys look at him and say, "Who are you to be nothing?" Who are you to be nothing? Meaning you need to be something to be nothing. In other words, they recognize how arrogant they truly are, and they're trying to act as if they're not arrogant, that it's really nothing, right? So the truth is that there's an aspect of selfishness in humility. Okay, you say, "Oh, the guy should be humble." If you are being humble because that's adding to your own, how would you say? There's a word, self-view. What is a word? Self. No, it's like a self-identity. If you want to build into your identity humility, right? And that humility is actually adding something to who you are. That's actually not humility. It's actually fakeness. It's actually a lie. And a lot of people, unfortunately, fall into this trap where they act humble, but that's the ultimate act of arrogance because they want to say, "I'm such a big guy, therefore, by acting humble, I'm even bigger if I'm humble." Meaning, if I'm not humble, I'm not so big. Therefore, I need to be humble in order to be bigger than I already am. That's like the ultimate arrogance. There can't be anything more arrogant than that. Right? Makes sense? Good. Anyways, Anthony Gwynn, if I said it correctly, says, "What's the difference between genuine humble and arrogantly being humbled in the presence of God?" Now, you want to answer? Here, but you have to come in the screen if you want to answer. Come. We have my student wants to answer you, so you want some screen time? Can I know how to go?
Look at that. My answer to that would be that if you're doing it to further yourself, if you're trying to use godliness in your own personal way, that's using it for yourself. And if you're trying to humble yourself to where God is the one to be like, how can I be a vessel for God? That's the way to actually be humble.
I hear that's actually a good perspective. I want to add to that is that if you're in the picture, then it's arrogance. If it's about you being humble, then it's arrogance. True humility is not about recognizing yourself and putting yourself down. True humility is about ignoring yourself and focusing on where you need to go versus who you are. And I'll give you a simple example. Okay, you ready for an example of true humility? Okay, there was somebody that came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe and said that they finished a particular tractate in the Talmud, and they wanted to make a massive siyum. They wanted to make a big party for the fact that they completed this particular study, but they were worried that if they made this party, it might lead them to arrogance. And you know what the Rebbe told them? You know what the Rebbe told them back? He says, "You only finished one tractate? you think you're so big for finishing one tractate? You know, why are you thinking about yourself?" Right? As a matter of fact, when I completed the Talmud, I completed the whole Talmud about 6 months ago. To me, it was obvious that I have to make a big party. Why do I have to make a big party? Because I think that if I made a party, I would get other people to be inspired to learn. And there was many people at that party that took on to learn Talmud. Many of them finished numerous tractates because the whole party was about inspiring other people. It's not about showing off my accomplishments. It was about inspiring other people to do the same. Now, if I was thinking, oh, I'm making a party because I want to show off that I finished the Talmud, and could there be that in the back of my mind there was a little bit of that? Perhaps, right? But if I wouldn't make that party because I wanted to prove to myself that I'm not arrogant, then that would be the greatest arrogance possible. If I say, you know what, forget about the arrogance, let's see what's going to make something happen better, right? If I go there and I present myself, is it going to make a better accomplishment or not? So then I'm not thinking about myself. I'm not considering my own arrogance. The second you consider your own arrogance as a factor in your decision making, that's arrogance, even if it's humility. You say, oh, I need to be humble, so therefore I'm not going to show off. Well, hold on a second. That's why you shouldn't show off, because you want to be humble? Now, again, if you think that by showing off, the only thing you're going to gain is showing off, so then why should you show off? Then of course that's arrogance, right? If the only reason you're being arrogant is because you want to show off your accomplishments, then of course that's arrogance. But if you're showing off because you think that by showing off you're gonna help people, you're gonna inspire people, you're gonna get people to do good things, then by not showing off you're being arrogant. You understand? By acting humble you're being arrogant. You have to basically continue your life and do what's most productive, to do what's most helpful for the world, ignoring who you are and your own arrogance. Right? If your arrogance plays a role, whether it is that you're going to do something that's not necessarily helpful, but you're doing it because you want to show off, that's obviously arrogant. But if you're not going to do something that you think is actually helpful to the world because you want to be humble, that's not humility, that's actually arrogance. All right? Good? We got that? Weitergegangen. Let's continue in the Gemara. I think you have to go up. Maybe somebody else asked something. Well, thanks for your question, Anthony Gwynn. No, not up. Down to the bottom. Yeah, good. That is the bottom. Okay, good. Let's continue. We're going to do... So that's the end of the argument. So the argument is as follows. The argument is whether on Rosh Hashanah specifically, it's better to be bent over and broken, or it's better to be straightforward thinking about God. And that's actually where Shmuel comes in, where on Rosh Hashanah, especially from the Hasidic perspective, we say that on Rosh Hashanah is not really about amending your sins. Yom Kippur is about fixing your sins. Rosh Hashanah is actually more about crowning God as our king. Kedei shetamlichuni aleichem. It's all about crowning God as king and accepting godliness on ourselves. It's actually a reflection of connectivity to God. Rosh Hashanah has more to do with a reflection on connectivity to God than it does about atoning for sins. Yom Kippur is about atoning for sins. Rosh Hashanah is actually more about crowning God as king. Now, how do you crown God as king? More by showing that you're nothing, or just by looking at the king and ignoring yourself? And it seems like this is the deep spiritual argument between these two rabbis. Should you look at God and don't even think about yourself? Or should you think about how broken you are? Yeah? Good.
When you're crowning the king, you can put chariots and you put major stones and you have people carrying things. You have a whole army and you have all that.
So that's why we have Rosh Hashanah. We have a big prayer on Rosh Hashanah. We blow the horns. We make a big deal about connecting to God.
You don't crown the king with like a bunch of poppers and people like all upset and down. It's disgusting.
So again, that's your opinion. Obviously, not everybody agrees with you. Okay, some people think that it is the best way to do it.